Hi friends, welcome to our Matthew study. So this video is going to be an introduction to the book of Matthew to help you understand what you are reading, what you're getting into here. So the book of Matthew is the first gospel in the New Testament. It's actually the first book of the New Testament. And it was written by a Jewish tax collector named Matthew. Actually, his other name would be Levi. So sometimes you'll see the Gospels refer to him as Levi or Matthew, same person. He was a Jewish tax collector, and a tax collector was a Jewish person who decided to help Rome out by collecting taxes off of the Jewish people. And they were usually pretty wealthy people, and they often would bump up the prices of the taxes to keep the commission off of it or to keep the excess off of it. So they weren't very well liked in the Jewish community. They were seen as just sinners. They are traitors. They betrayed the Jewish people by trying to extort them and try to gain money off them. They're already oppressed and they're teaming up with the ones who are oppressing them. So they weren't very well liked. But Jesus, but God, right? God actually called Matthew to come and be his disciple. He said, "Follow me." So, and we will actually read about that in the book of Matthew, but the introduction here, that's pretty much all you need to know right now. So Matthew was actually fluent in Greek. He was literate, so that actually helped him out to write this gospel. He was very well organized, so this qualified him to record the account of the gospel of Jesus because he was an eyewitness. He was converted himself. He was fluent in Greek, and the whole New Testament was written in Greek. He was literate, so that qualified him for him to write everything, or that qualified him to be able to write everything down. He was writing to Jewish Christians at the time. So this was the audience because he refers to the genealogy and things that the Jewish people would have known at the time. He referenced the Old Testament, so Jewish people would have known the Old Testament. He presents Jesus as the promised Messiah and the King of the Jews, fulfilling Old Testament prophecies. So the Jewish people would have known what he was referencing when he spoke of these Old Testament prophecies. And he also connects Jesus to the Old Testament. So he puts the ties together for the Jewish people to help them know and believe and trust that Jesus was actually the Messiah that they had been hoping for. So first off, if we were to outline, I guess, he first talks about the lineage of Jesus and how from Abraham to King David, Jesus came from that line of people. So, and that was what was prophesied in the Old Testament, that Jesus would be son of Abraham, obviously, but then also he would come from King David's line, because someone on King David's line was going to rule and reign forever. That was prophesied in the Old Testament. So that was him telling people, okay, this is how Jesus relates to Abraham and to King David. So that was one of the proofs that Matthew had to the Jewish people that Jesus was the Messiah, that he did come from the line of David, that he was a son of Abraham. So anyway, he also tells in his book what a disciple of Jesus's life should be like. So he tells about the Sermon on the Mount, which is a code of conduct. It tells about the quality of the relationship Jesus desired with his disciples. And it talks a lot about the kingdom of heaven, which is the daily life of each disciple and the future coming of Christ. And when I say disciple, I'm not just talking about the 12. I'm talking about all of us. Anyone who follows Jesus is a disciple of Jesus. So, we learn from him. We learn from his word. So it tells a lot about that. And then it also, of course, tells about the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus. So that, in a nutshell, is the book of Matthew, just an introduction to it. And tune into the next video to start with chapter 1. We're going to go chapter by chapter and just kind of break this down and talk about it and just learn together. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.